Everything that you draw can be broken down into simpler shapes. In a portrait, the head is a shape, the eyes are shapes, the neck and the clothes are made of shapes. Artists like Pablo Picasso created extremely unique works of art by simply seeing the shapes within an object. To begin our portrait, we need a piece of paper and a pencil. I brought a spare, just in case I break one. You have the option of using objects to trace the shapes for your portrait, but don't forget that you can also draw the shapes. Just make sure you're focusing on shapes. I'm going to use a Kleenex box for my head. If your piece of paper is smaller, you might need to find a different shape. So we want to make sure that our head is large enough for our portrait, that we still have room down here for our shoulders, and we have room around the head for the background. So don't make the head this big as the piece of paper, but also don't make it so small that you have trouble filling up the rest of the paper. I have a book. I figure a lot of people have books, so I'm gonna have a book for my shirt. So there's my shirt. That's the basic structure of my portrait. There's my shirt, there's my head. And then the details get smaller from there. I found this round thing and I thought that would be kind of cool to use for my sleeves of my shirt or my shoulders. 1 and 2. Remember that there really isn't a wrong answer. You know, you can use very strange shapes if you want to. That might make your portrait a little bit more interesting. So I don't have anything this shape, so I'm gonna go ahead and just draw the rectangle for my neck. And it's not totally a rectangle because my head is crooked, but that is still a shape. It's a quadrilateral because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I was wearing my hat today. You saw it at the beginning of the video, and I found this piece of a set of watercolors in the art room. So I'm going to use that to represent the edge of my hat. You might have different details. You might not be wearing a hat, but you might have earrings on, and I don't. Or you might have a necklace on. So let's see, there's my hat. I'm gonna go ahead and add my arms coming out of the sleeves. All right, that's starting to look like a person. I can see the shoulders with the arms and the body. Here's the neck and the head. We've got a hat now. So now I'm getting into the even smaller details. I'm still thinking of shapes. So I'm not just gonna draw everything realistically. I'm gonna focus on what shapes they might be represented by. Since there's a lot of rectangles up here, I'm gonna use a rectangle for my eye. Cool. And then let's see my nose. I'm gonna make an oval. And I'm gonna match that oval with my ears, which are gonna be halves of ovals, because it's probably a good idea to mix the shapes up a little bit. We don't wanna have all round things down here and all square things up here, so try to mix it up. There's a rectangle and some circles. There's a rectangle and some ovals. So there's a mixture of round and straight edge shapes. Boom. And let's see, for my mouth, I'm just gonna draw a thin rectangle. Now I can keep going, adding more shapes and more shapes until I run out of time. So I'm gonna put a circle in the eye and another circle in the eye. And oh, I'm wearing my name badge around my neck. So that is a rectangle. And it is attached by 2 strings, which I think is going to be really interesting because they're kind of like long rectangles, but the middle makes a triangle, which is kind of interesting. There we have it. There's my portrait made out of shapes. That's the end of part 1. Part 2 will continue by adding a background, and then we'll keep going with the colors and the patterns that we want to add to our picture. Come back next week and we can see what happens in part 2.